Welcome to Strategy Battle Gaming, to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with channel host GBHL James, bringing you another episode of Speak Friend and Question. This is your weekly Strategy Battle Gaming Q&A show, and unfortunately I'm on my own again, but I'm pretty sure you guys don't mind because you are, of course, going to be able to get loads and loads of painting done to this video today. Now we've got about 30 questions today, so I'm going to get right into them. As you can see, I am in the Biotic Gym. Wouldn't normally be working on a Sunday, but a couple of the guys are going to support their other halves in the Manchester Marathon, which is today, and I also believe one of them is going to become a godfather. So I'm holding the fort today, and as such, not got many appointments. So good opportunity to do Speak Friend and Question. So I'm going to get right into this, guys. Make sure you do have those paint pots handy and start getting through your backlog, because that's what these videos are for. Okay, so we're starting off with Josh Trippett. He's put, "Hi James and Jamie. A few people in the East Anglia area, including myself, are wanting to set up a tournament for the GBHL next year. How would we go about doing this, and who would we need to speak to?" So the man to speak to is actually GBHL Tom Harrison, not in his GBHL channel guys, as it were, but in his official league coordinator guys, because he has taken over from Michelage. So the best way to do that is to send Tom Harrison a message and just let him know what you're planning to do, what kind of dates that you're looking to do it in, and he'll give you all the information you need of how you can make a tournament qualify for the Great British Hobbit League. So I hope that helps Josh. He's the man to speak to. Next up, we've got 19 Mark F91. I met this guy, Mark Furness, a really nice guy. I met him at JT's tournament. I don't think it was last Saturday, I think it was Saturday before that. Really top dude, so it was nice to meet you, matey. He put, "Hey guys, as James won most sporting at JT's event last week." Yes, I did. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it's because I didn't do very well in my first game. No, I had some really good opponents, and JT's tournaments are really good fun. If you've not been up to Huddersfield, do prepare yourself to sort of be getting your elbow in on a lot of people. There's not a huge amount of room, but he makes a cracking brew, and he does run a good event. I imagine when JT expands and he can have a bit more room, that his tournaments will be up there with the ones to go to. So he's put, "Just wondered where you store all your prizes, certificate, etc. Out on show or hidden away in a man cave. Thanks guys, happy Strategy Battle Gaming." Well, most of my stuff is actually hidden away down in the cellar. I've got a, encouraged by Jane, I have to say, on both accounts. I do have like a glass cabinet thing. Well, it's not a cabinet, it's glass shelves. And on there I've got all of the things that I still need to paint, and a lot of my scenery and everything that I've got. And also on there I've won most sporting before, and I've come second and third an awful lot, and of course I've got my category winner from throwing skulls and everything. So yeah, so I've got a few bits and pieces. It's not as impressive as some people's. I'd love to see like Ed's. But yeah, it is hidden away, although I am quite proud of it. So thanks for your question, Mark. Shame that you can't make Desolation of Stockport 2015, which I can't believe it is actually next week. It is next week. Unbelievable. And it is record breaking, guys, and it looks like we're going to get over that 60. I think we might already be there, which is amazing. So thank you everybody who's supporting that event, who's coming down to it and getting involved. It's going to be a cracking day. I look forward to catching up with you all there. So next up we've got Ryan Shady Shaw, who I believe is coming to Desolation of Stockport. Look forward to meeting you, pal. You put, "This week's question isn't long, but a long question is needed, because Desolation of Stockport is my first real-time playing the game. So obviously it's my first tournament. Can you give me the lowdown on what to expect? Thanks, Ryan." What to expect? Well, lots and lots of other people in exactly the same situation. One of the wonderful things, I suppose, about Strategy Battle Gaming, I say wonderful things, of course we do want our community to grow and expand, but it is a relatively small community. Now hopefully that doesn't bring along with it any kind of cliques or anything. You don't really want to see those. So we get, because of the channel, we do get a lot of people come in and get involved in their first ever tournaments. Wow, that sun shines bright. Coming down and getting involved in their first ever tournament. So you've got a lot of guys who don't really get to play the game that often, who use these tournaments as a way to actually play the game. You're going to meet lots of friendly people who will help you through and will talk you through the rules. No one is going to exploit you, I don't imagine. And of course you've got us to help you. So although Jamie will be very much sort of doing the official spreadsheety stuff, well, I was quite pleased with my efforts last time, and of course I did have help from Scotland. I will be going around making sure everybody's okay. So, if you need me, make sure you ask. Expect lots of fun, expect to make lots of friends, Expect to have lots of laughs. You know, it's not all just about the games either. I mean, the games are good fun, but it's also about the people that you meet and the social, you know, the meal in the evening and all that kind of thing. So I look forward to meeting you there, Ryan. Next up, we've got Nomagestus, who I don't think we've had here before. He's put, hello, James, and hopefully, Jamie. I am from Germany, and I love your content. Great stuff, thank you very much. And you really helped me come back into the Hobbit. Good news. My first question, or speak for any question, is about painting. Whoa, 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 whoa. Your first question? What does he have to do, everybody? I can hear you all saying it out loud at the same time. You have to ask a question next week because, all on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, he is in the loop. Okay, so make sure you ask a question next week, buddy. Yeah, but how long do you paint on a regular plastic miniature like an Orc Warrior or a Warrior Rohan? And how much longer do you need to paint far more detailed metal or fine cast miniatures like Orc Shaman or Boromir of Gondor? Okay, so I'll answer that first bit before going on to the next part of your question. Okay, so how long does it take me to paint? Well, when I was painting plastics, it seems like a long time since I painted the plastics. I've painted a lot of metals and models that I want to look really nice lately. I guess, you know, you batch paint them, don't you? So you don't paint them individually. So let's say that you've got a box of 12 warriors. Well, that 12 warriors would probably take me 4 lots of painting sessions, which is probably like 3 or 4 hours per time. So you're looking at about 16 to 20 hours for me to paint sort of a warband of plastic miniatures probably. And then with the metal models, it's a little bit more than that. I might have to move my position. That sun is bright, so you move it a little bit. Oh, that's a bit better. Woo. Bright stuff. But then, yeah, when I'm painting the heroes took me ages. The Fellowship and the Sons of Ale are taking me absolutely forever. Mind you, I am only getting like an hour here and there to paint them. I've been painting 8 of those, so it does take a fair while. Every single person is different, but I do tend to take a little bit longer with painting when I want them to be nice. Okay, and the next part is, and do you think GW will bring back the source books that are not currently available? I hope so, because I would love to have them, but don't want to pay silly prices on eBay. Thanks again for your great work, keep it up. Well, what I would advise is get yourself into your local Games Workshops, because a lot of the Games Workshop stores still have them in stock, even the ones that come up as being out of production on the website. Now, I have heard that there was a recall for these things not that long ago, which probably means that they're going to be sold again just online only. So do get yourself into your Games Workshops, contact your local gaming stores as well, because they might have them in stock. But if you can't find them, then unfortunately you have to bite the bullet. Whether they will do a reprint of them, we really don't know. But for anybody out there who would like to see them have a reprint, why don't you email Games Workshop? Because at least then they understand the demand and that there is a demand there. So thank you very much for your question, Nomagestus. And next up we've got Acathlon39 in his triple loop. But I think you're right, James. Yagsnake's rule only says Azog, but that is the 331 version. But seeing as Lieutenant Sauron didn't exist back then, I suspect that in a tournament he'll be fine too. No, the thing that you need to check is if the Yagsnake's rule only says Azog, the 2 different profiles. So you've got Azog, Lieutenant of Sauron, and is the other one, is it just Azog? Is there anything that comes after his name? If not, then it means that Azog. If there is, then it probably encapsulates both Azogs. So that's what you need to check, is the original Azog, is there anything else that comes after his name? I don't think there is, so it might just apply to him. And then your next question is, Dwarves versus Rivendell's Knights sounds quite grim, but I guess the Dwarves always struggle with cavalry. Yep, certainly do. What would you guys suggest as tactics against Cavs as my Dwarves? Thanks for all your hard work for the channel, and I look forward to meeting you all at DOS. Only 2 weeks, I'm so excited. Dwarf tactics versus Rivendell Knights and cavalry, or cavalry generally. Okay, so of course keep your high defense stuff up front, keep everything together as a big blob. One of the mistakes that a lot of my Dwarven opponents have made in the past against my cavalry is that they've sent out bits to chase various bits of my army, and that is a big mistake, because the moment that you are more than 10 inches away, it's only going to take me, you know, a turn to sort of get within charge and just isolate one little bit of your Dwarves. So the key thing is to keep everything together, and don't stand still either. You know, do press the game, but make sure you move forward as one big block. Just keep on moving forward. Just keep on moving forward. Keep moving forward. Keep your high defense stuff at the top, at the front. You know, even your heroes. You know, don't worry about putting your heroes at the front, because a lot of dwarven heroes tend to be defense 8 or even 9, and as such, any bowfire is going to struggle against that. So yeah, they might get a lucky fate off or something along those lines, but really that is better in a lot of ways than your troops, because your troops are just so valuable. And try and make the board as small as possible. You know, that's really what you're trying to do. Try and, even when you're moving forward as a block, you know, if your cavalry player is clever, they'll set up in the centre so that they can go either way. And you just want to really kind of try and get them into corners. So imagine if you're in a boxing match and you're trying to get someone into the corner. Just continue your slow advance and keep together. That's the key thing. Keep together. Anyway, thanks for all your hard work for the channel, and I look forward to meeting you all at Desolation Stockport. Only 2 weeks. I'm so excited. Well, yeah, it's only 1 week now, which is very, very exciting. So I look forward to meeting you there, mate. And then Hackathon 39's final part of his triple loop. Hopefully Jamie's there this week. If so, what do you think of Damien and Tom's job at Barlings 2? You and Jay have to pick up the fate, pieces of a no Fate Legolas and 3-wheel Gandalf and no Might Aragorn. Hopefully they will all make it to Lothlorien, especially Boromir, even with the heroic combating Frodo fail. P.S. After breaking the Fellowship, will you be continuing this all the way to Return the King? I believe that's the plan. The plan is that they do 2 Towers and Return the King as well. I have no idea what Jamie thinks about that. But Barling's Tomb has already been released. Sorry, Barling's Tomb's been released, but the Dwaradelf has now also been released as well. And the Battle of the Balrog has been filmed. So this is going to be very, very, very interesting now. So make sure you just stay tuned and see what happens on Saturday. It's very interesting to see which way this Fellowship campaign is going to go. So thank you very much, Hackathon. Next up we've got Lucas Whitcroft White. But hi guys, Lucas here. My favourite troop type are definitely the Guard of the Gladrian Corps. Good choice, very good. Their Fight 6 and Courage 6 really makes them stand out to me. Yeah, having small numbers of them to counter enemy heroes. So let's say at 500 points you might expect to come up against 3 enemy heroes maybe, unless it's all hero force of some kind. You might come up against 3 enemy heroes. Having those there that you can put into support normal troops, especially normal troops that have got Elven Blades, is a good way of really messing up you know, a hero and pinning down a hero while your heroes go and just slaughter stuff. So yeah, they're very, very good. But I love them so much that I'm thinking about doing a conversion to put them on horseback. Do you think this would be acceptable from an SBG point of view? Not in terms of using a profile. The only way that you could do that, I think, is if you used the profile of a Rivendell Knight and had a Rivendell Knight captain lead them, or something else from the House of Elrond list, or if they were, of course they could just be Galadriel cavalry, but that seems a bit pointless to me about doing that. Or of course you could have them be in the new Mirkwood cavalry, but again that seems a bit pointless. So the only thing that I would say that if you did want to do, to have that conversion for the look of, then maybe use a Rivendell Knight profile to bring them in and sort of put a bow on them and stuff like that. But you couldn't actually use them in friendly games. Yeah, sounds like good fun, but you couldn't actually use them at a tournament. So I hope that helps. You put, thank you for your content as ever. P.S. Me and my friend have started a YouTube channel called Wild Wargaming. He has content. Wonder if you guys could check it out. Certainly will, and I advise that everybody goes and checks it out. Maybe a mini scouring of YouTube, guys. Go and check out Wild Wargaming channel. And speaking of scouring of YouTube, that is going to be this weekend's The Scouring of YouTube. That's right, it's back, guys, and it's only back if you guys get out there and you do something about it. Okay, last couple of times we've done it, you've not really supported your Hobbit hobby and gone out there and spammed some channels. So who we're going to shout this time is going to be Ash Barker, who runs Gorilla Tabletop Gaming, GTG, that sounds right. He was on Mini War Gaming. It looks like he's had some kind of fallout with them, which is of course a bit of a shame, but he did produce very good content, and he produced good content, but he was very into his skirmish games. And I understand that he is a Dwarven player, a Dwarf and Uruk-hai player in The Hobbit, although I've not seen him film anything like that. So what would be really good is, of course, if he could be producing some Hobbit SBG content. So I want you all to go and check out Gorilla Tabletop Gaming as ever in the Scaring YouTube. The link will be in the description below. Go onto the video and say that you've been sent here from the GBHL YouTube channel. Of course, that helps us because it makes people aware of our YouTube channel. Of course, it helps him because then he's getting some of his Hobbit following. And who knows, if he gets a big enough Hobbit following, then we might see some content from him as well. So that is this week's The Scouring of YouTube. Okay. So next up we've got Colin Higgins. He's put, "Hey guys, hope you're both well. Just a quick question. Do you think that rather than have two different Galadriel profiles, Lady Black, Protector of Lothlorien, it would just be better to have just one Galadriel profile and allow her to switch between the two, similar to Beorn?" Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, yeah, I actually think that'd be quite good, actually. You know, you start off with non-war aspects Galadriel. I'm not so sure about... I know you've got Lady of Light, Protector of Lothlorien. It'd be good if you could, yeah, if you rolled like a 4+, you could change her into war aspect Galadriel, and there were pros and cons, just like there are with Beorn. I think that would be really good, actually, quite a cool idea. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good idea, actually, pal. So thanks for that contribution, Colin. Next up, we've got Joel Stuckey's. But hello, GBHL host. Missed the episode last week, started a new job. Here's my question for this week. Has anyone taken Thorin's company through the Fellowship Lord of the Rings campaign? Let's pretend that Gandalf discovered Bilbo's ring after Moria and thought it was a more important quest to get to Mount Doom to destroy the ring. Would it be balanced, or would some tweaks be required to make it enjoyable? Thanks, as always, for the content. I don't know, I think that'd be really interesting, that'd be really good content. Maybe that's something we can look at doing in the future. Really good idea. Thank you very much, Joel. How do I think they would get on? The 13 dwarves, and you've got Gandalf included as well. Do you know, I think they would do quite well. I think they would do really, really well, actually. Because obviously Fellowship profiles have existed forever. You know, whereas the dwarf profiles, of course, very up to date. They've got quite neat little up to date rules, how they synergize together. You know, got might in there and things. I think that they would do very well. So next up, we've got Al Wood, and he's put, "James, I have to say that your response about what would you ask Tolkien was great, with a small amount of passion from you in response. I felt it's something that I've considered only just recently, where the Tolkien community could add short stories to add histories to some events and characters, perhaps policed by a group to ensure quality on Tolkien lore basis. Considering you using a laptop camera for Speak Friendly Question 68, it worked quite well, mate. So well done. Yeah, I'm using it again. I've still not picked up a new camera, and Jamie's got that one so he can finish off the Fellowship campaign. 2 questions. When using a black dart spell against a mounted figure, am I right in saying that you don't have to roll to see whether you get hit? You just opt to hit the rider, unlike shooting? Yeah, that's right. When playing at Stockport, will VPs be awarded for the loss of a mount, a horse? Lords of Battle, that is the ruling now, unfortunately, from a cavalry player point of view. So VPs will be awarded at Lords of Battle. Have we got Lords of Battle in the tournament? I think we have. I watched the back rep, and the 2 VPs were awarded for killing the rider and the loss of the horse, I think. Cheers. Well, it used to be that way, and then it got FAQ'd that it wasn't that way, so that horses didn't count towards VPs. And then because of the question about things like monstrous mounts, so like killing a fell beast or getting wounds on a fell beast, should that count? It then got ruled back the other way, so that now mounts do contribute victory points for Lords of Battle, which is awful for me. I was devastated. So yeah, all of the rulings will be up to date with current FAQs. And in terms of the idea of sort of the Tolkien community, I'm pretty sure that they will be out there where people sort of write their own little mini short stories, but of course they wouldn't ever be able to sell them because of a very aggressive intellectual property position of Tolkien estates. But yeah, it was a passionate response because it's something that I feel is such a shame, because I do feel that Tolkien very much intended for his work to be used as a mythology. he was very passionate about the fact that England lost a lot of its sort of folklore after the Norman invasion, and that since then a lot of our mythology and folklore was effectively sort of Frenchified, or was borrowed from other places rather than our own unique sort of mythologies. So yeah, I think that he would sort of say, yeah, actually, you know, I didn't expect it to be like this, but yeah, go out there and create. And you actually put Hackathon 3.9, you've actually put, I think Tolkien did intend for his work to be mythology for Britain. He did, yeah. I think in Appendices it says that he wanted to create something for our culture that people would one day read and add on. Yes, he did. It's just a shame that Tolkien Estate hasn't looked in that direction. Yeah, it is indeed. So I hope that helps, Al Wood. Thank you very much for your contribution, as always. Next up, we've got Matt Patterson. He's put, thanks for the advice last week, James. Absolute pleasure, mate. My question this week is, why do you think Games Workshop didn't release The Hobbit like they did with the weekly magazines for Lord of the Rings? Surely this would have been a better way to get those sales up. Thanks. Well, I think Games Workshop have massively changed their approach, full stop, regarding sort of how they support their hobbies. You know, just look at how White Dwarf has changed massively. You know, absolutely massively. Over years and years and years. And, you know, the wargaming climate is very different to what it was at the start of Lord of the Rings. You know, when Lord of the Rings started, Games Workshop was still very much, I guess people would say that it had that kind of soul behind it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't now, you know, I'm not saying that I'm not a Games Workshop fan. But when I hear about people talk about what Games Workshop used to be like, and I see the resources that were ploughed behind things before, and you know, magazines included, then it does make me think, you know, how I would like it to be like that now, as someone who's new into it, and kind of regret the fact that it isn't like that now. So yeah, I've absolutely got no idea why they've gone that way, but it will be to do with business, it will be to do with money. It will be to do with money. So while it might create sales, it might not be worth the effort and resources that they have to pour into it for the return that they get for it. So I guess that'll be why. So next up we've got Cause I Like To. You've put, hello, my name is Harrison. I like the name Harrison. And this is my first question. Yes, and you are in the loop. And you put, oh, not the loop. I'm starting to think he's starting a Rohan army, as James would say. I've always loved Rohan. Who doesn't love Rohan? Seriously, Rohan's for winners. Could you please go over your tournament for us? I know you have lots of times, but I'd love to be updated. I would love an updated video with strategies, points, and maybe Mr. Spreadsheet could help with a handy spreadsheet. That would help me so much. Thank you so much. And since I'm in the loop, speak to you next, speak friend and question. In terms of spreadsheets and giving like points and stuff like that, I don't think they will be doing that. But there is an army builder. It's called Lonely Knights Army Builder, so if you don't have the source books, that can help you. I believe that another thing has been made not that long ago. There's a resource for all of that, I can't remember what it's called, so I'm not going to be any help there. Yeah, and you know, we do try and do as much different kind of content whenever we can, and videos that have strategies. Those tend to be like when we do our tournament reviews or tournament previews. That's when you'll tend to see a lot of in-depth strategic discussion about tournament forces. In terms of my Rohan tournament force, it completely depends what points level. But I would say that, what was my 500 points? I think my 500 points Rohan force was Aemon Knight of Pelennor, Erkin Brown, 6 Sons of Ale, 4 Outriders on horseback. Is there a couple of Royal Guard in there? Is there a Royal Guard or 2 Royal Guard? 1 Royal Guard with banner maybe? Can't remember. And then the rest was Riders of Westfold Red Shields. And at 600 points, the army that I did for Throne of Skulls, which did very well, it's done very well at 600 points, that was 8 Royal Guard on foot. Is it 8? 7 or 8 Royal Guard on foot? It might have been 7 Royal Guard on foot, Royal Guard on horse with banner, and 4 Outriders on foot, with Eowyn on horse with armour and shield. That was one warband. And then I had Erkenbrand and Ammonite and Pelennor, each with 3 Sons of Ale each, I think, and 6 Westfold Red Shields each, or something along those lines anyway. So yeah, that was my 600-point force, tournament force. It's done very, very well. But yeah, I mean, if you've got very specific strategic questions, and of course we can answer those. So next up we've got Tour Saragon. He's got, hi James, thanks for answering my what would you ask Tolkien last week. I just feel the same about being able to open up Tolkien's world a bit more. Yeah, I think a lot of people do, a lot of real sort of Tolkien fans. My question is this, James, are you a modern day Istari? Because on last week's question Q&A video at 4:30 you raised your hand in the air, chanted J, and seemed to cast blinding light, causing the colour of the video to change. I think you're one of the blue wizards. Shh, don't tell anyone. I think I'd win a lot more games if I was a wizard. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I think literally, like when I started the video, the sun was not reflecting off of a window, or was reflecting off of a window, and then partway through, obviously the sun's position changed, and that changed. So unfortunately, it wasn't me doing that. So next up we got Andreas, the Norwegian Viking. He's put, the north is getting warmer and spring has come to the desolation of Oslo. Superb. I will now enjoy 4 months of warm-ish weather before the winter is coming. Battle companies are going swimmingly here in Oslo. The players, myself included, are having a blast. That's great to hear. Yeah, battle companies is good fun. We'll have started our fourth round out of 12 when the internet sees the video. Some cruel warbands are starting to emerge, yeah, I can imagine. I also seem to have inspired the local Games Workshop manager to do a battle companies with Space Marines for 40k in store. That's a really good idea, actually. No question this week, although if Jamie's around this time, I'll ask the same as last week to him. He's not, so unfortunately, no point. Have another great week, the Norwegian Viking. Thank you very much, Andreas, we appreciate that. So next up we got Lost Control. He's got, hello James, thank you for sneaking me in as the last question last week. No problem at all, my friend. Follow up, I've decided to mostly hoard out my Angmar army and avoid the larger monsters like Badr, although he's my favourite looking model. Yeah, he's a lovely looking model, I agree. I love that kind of hill troll look, very cool. In favour of mostly orcs around a shade. Good call. Two-part question. If I can only fit one wraith in my Angmar army, is it better to have the Dwemer Lake or Witch King? In the Angmar Week series, Jamie mentioned Dwemer tends to die rather quickly, and my army is super frail and prone to breaking. And should I have either mounted on foot or on a fell beast? P.S. Congrats on 3k subs. I don't think we're on 3,000 subs yet. I think we've got 2 more to go. But we're nearly there. Maybe by the time this video goes out, maybe we'll have got 2 more. If you can mount a wraith on a fell beast, then do it. And I guess if you are hoarding out orcs, cheap orcs, then you should be able to afford to do that. It's well worth it. If you do that, doing it with a Witch King is probably better. If you have the Dwemer Lake, just even having the Dwemer Lake, on foot is not a bad idea. We'll lie him down behind lines and be dead cheesy, so people can't see him and get a cheeky wound on him, because he does die quite quick. The Dwemer Lake works really well in synergy with Angmar as a no-might army. But the Witch King is better, sort of, especially when he's souped up. Very good caster and very good in combat as well. So maybe experiment with both and see how you get on. So next up we've got Matt Patterson, always double looping. Well, he's put, sorry, I'm not double looping. Well, I'm afraid you are, pal. But if I go to a tournament of say 400 points and my army list was 401, would the officials be okay with 1 point over, or is this absolutely not allowed? Cheers. It's absolutely not allowed. So in friendly games, that's fine, but if there is a 400 points limit, it's 400 points for a reason. So in a friendly game, if you want to put together a particular army and you can't fit something in, speak to your opponent, and if they're happy with that, then that's fine. But a points limit is a points limit for a reason. Just like a speed limit is a speed limit for a reason. So make sure that you stay underneath. Better to be 5 points under than 1 point over. So next up we got Zarfai Angel. He's put, what? Your children will not be named Eomer and Eowyn? Unbelievable. It's unbelievable that you made it in an hour. Well, I think this one will be as well, actually, mate. No, I wouldn't go so far as to call my kids Eomer and You know, just like when Jane suggested that I get my wedding ring to have the one ring to be basically like the one ring, but on the inside, I was like, nah, I'm a geek, but I'm not that much of a geek, so I would rather stay quite traditional. Hey, but new week, new question. I have about 1,000 points of Goblin Town now. Wow. What should I have next? Trolls, Hunter Orcs? I like the look of both, so it would make more sense from a gaming point of view. Trolls work really well with Goblin Town, as does having some kind of caster in there. I played against just like a pretty bare bonesy kind of Witch King Goblin Town, and it had the trolls in there, and it was horrendous to play against. It was really tough. It was one of the toughest games I've ever had. And how I won, I have no idea. Literally just keeping an eye on the scenario, even though I was getting battered, and then just seeing it's the final turn, jumping on objectives. So yeah, I think going the trolls and some kind of caster is a good way to go. Maybe get a wraith in there. Okay, so next up we've got Mason O'Neill's, but haha, I had to replay that pound form in the kitchen bit like 3 times. So funny and random. Yeah, it scared me to death. Thanks, James, for making the vid, even though you're alone. Appreciate the content. Well, that's what we do. I've only ever missed one Speak Friendly question, and that's because the guys made it and saw it and was like, I suppose that's all right. It's an all right replacement video. You put. My question is, what is the most valuable stat in a model's profile to have? I personally think it's fight value or attacks, as luck will run out eventually with good defence. The best defence is a good offence. Yeah, I agree with that. Jamie would agree with that as well. And strength is useless if you aren't winning fights. Thanks again. Completely agree. Fight value is a very important stat, but attacks is just important. You know, if you've got multiple. Basically, the way that I see it is, ultimately, if you strip the game back, it's a game of odds, really, and trying to get the odds as often as possible to be in your favour, as often as possible. And that means rolling more dice where you can than your opponent gets to. And if you're rolling more dice than your opponent is getting to, and you have more of a chance, then that is great. Now, of course, fight value can go against that, because somebody can 1 dice a 6 on a higher fight value model. And then it doesn't matter if you're rolling, you know, infinity dice, you're not going to win if you've got a low fight value. So I think attacks first and maybe fight value are very, very, very important. But of course, a profile has to work together, you know. So next up we've got Larry Miller. Good to have you back, Larry. I know that you've been skiving from Speak Friendly Question for some time, so great to have you back, pal. You've been out of the loop for a while, yes you have. But back with a question for Jamie. No, he's not, if he's there. Okay, well, I'll see if I can answer it, and if I can't, then I'm really sorry. These past weeks, I keep watching the video too late to get a question in on time. A couple of times, I even finished it on the Wednesday, but unfortunately, I was unable to think of a question, and subsequently forgot until I was too late on the Thursday. I've just not been getting enough hobbying done to watch it all quickly enough. But I've been having a productive week, so it looks like I'll have a question prepared for this week. Alas, I'm not going to be able to make this Stockport, although definitely going to try and make 5.0. I don't think our second tournaments of the years are going to be called Desolation Off. I think we're going to go for sort of just the year and have Desolation of Stockport being the first one of the year, and then come up for a nice catchy name for Stockport tournament the second. So maybe I'll put that out there to you guys. Try that. What would be a good name for a second sort of marketed Stockport tournament that was later on in the year? So that's my question this week to you guys. It's a shame that you're not able to make it, Larry. We will miss you, and of course it's a shame that you're not coming to what will be the largest independent tournament ever. But on the subject of that tournament, and because I've run out of things to talk about to increase the amount Jamie hopefully has to read, do you guys think Ed will be able to keep his title and win yet another Stockport tournament? Or do you think this one will go to someone else? Well, from the interest of, from a seeing healthy competition point of view, of course, you know, you want your underdogs to do better, and you want to see new champions and stuff along those lines. But you know, I think that a huge event like Throwing the Skulls, or random events, or big events like like Desolation of Stockport, are more often than not going to favour. Obviously, it completely depends on the field and who attends, but is more often than not likely going to favour the more experienced players who are very, very competitive at the game, and that's because they're less likely to meet each other early on, and really, they're less likely to meet each other. So whereas, like, let's say you've got a 10-man tournament, but those 10 are your top 10 of the league, then of course it's going to be very, very hard for it. All of them have got a chance, really. But if you've got like 60 people, then it's going to be very, it's much harder for you to have a Damien versus Ed situation until the latter games. So I do think it favours the more experienced players from a competitive point of view. But I would, I love Ed to bits, but I would like to see it go to somewhere. I'd like to see Ed on the top table last game, and someone who's never ever won a tournament in the last game, and maybe the other player picked it, because what a great moment for that player. That would be amazing for that player. But thanks very much. Great to have you back in the loop, Larry. I'm sorry that you can't make it. Next up, we've got Duncan MCs, but apologies for the question. I would imagine it's been asked before, but I've been out of the loop for a while, so I don't know the answer. Well, this is the problem. If you leave the loop, then you're not going to know the answers. What are your opinions on using Tariel, Mirkwood Exile, as the Tariel to lead Mirkwood Rangers? I received Mirkwood Exile model as a gift for Valentine's Day. She knows me well. And have since bought Rangers Start building the Mirkwood army. They're all fantastic models, in my opinion. The Mirkwood Exile fits more in with the Rangers pose. I would hate to think people would want me to buy the other Tariel model too, and that I can't use some of my favourite models together, as it's still obvious Tariel after all. Cheers guys, keep up the good work. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine, even though I think, does one of them not have a bow? One of them has a bow or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that should be absolutely fine. As long as you explain which profile it is, then that's not a problem. People do that with all kinds of profiles. Sometimes it's important when you look at war gear, or it can be important. But as long as it's clear to your opponent, and you explain beforehand which profile you're using, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, so thank you very much, Duncan MC. And great to have you back in the loop. Don't miss it again. Okay, next up we've got Lonely Cube 1. He's got, hi, sorry I missed the last 2 weeks. I had 2 questions this week. Here's the first one. When I play SBG, I pretty much only play with my stepdad, who has a huge collection. When we play, he always wants to use the models he has for a given army, which is over 1,500 points and 6 or 7 warbands. Unfortunately, I only see him about once a week, and games that large usually take us months to play through. Our last one went from July to December. Do you have any advice on either playing big games more quickly or convincing him to try small games? I know this is an odd question, but maybe you'll have some advice. Thanks, guys. Well, 1,500 points is not an optimal level to play SBG, and yes, it will take a long, long period of time. A good way to convince him to play smaller games is, the game. It's a skirmish game. It's not a mass ranks game. It is a skirmish game. If you want to play big games, then you play War of the Ring, which is a different system. As broken as it is, that is so that you can play larger games in the Hobbit universe. Because SBG is moving one model at a time. That's why it takes forever. Even 1,000 points is hard. It's a real slog. Having time limits on games is a good thing, and maybe get him to sort of watch the YouTube channel and see the 500 point games and things like that, and explain that, look, this is how it's supposed to be played. Throne of Skulls that Games Workshop runs 600 point tournament. So that suggests that that's the kind of sweet spot for playing. I would say, and maybe just express this to him and just say, it'd be nice to come down and sort of play a game each time rather than playing a game which lasts over months, because then you lose interest a little bit. So yeah, just maybe have that word with him. The game isn't designed to be played at 1,500 points. And then we've got Lonely Cube 1. Hey, here's my second question. James, you mentioned last week that fitness is your hobby and also your job, which is fantastic, by the way. My question is, hypothetically, if the GBHL channel ever became big enough that you made they made you all enough money to support yourselves from it, would you want to quit your current job and make videos full time? The question is for both of you if Jamie's there. I think Jamie would, 100%. I wouldn't. Well, remember, this isn't my job as such. It's my business. So because it's my business, I would not just quit it. But one of the weird paradoxes of having your own business, I suppose, is the fact that you start out running your own business because you're very, very good at what you do, which I am, and for that business to continue, and the business is good because you're good at it, but ultimately for the business to continue succeeding and growing, you have to do less of the things that you are good at and try and get other people to do those things that you're good at and create a standard, as it were, and start taking more of a back role. And ultimately that's the goal for Biotic Fit. And I would like to be able to spend 1 or 2 days a week to do filming full time, and a couple of days a week when I was doing the gym work full time. Not necessarily all my PTs and classes and things like that, but just making sure that the business is growing and doing the business development side. I think that'd be sort of an ideal situation. So if you guys want to make that happen, send us money. But yeah, we both care very much about the channel, and we do need to sit down and sort of have a chat from a business point of view, because there are a few things that we wanted to do that we haven't been able to do and not got round to yet. Tournaments is a good way to support us. So if you like our GBHL YouTube channel tournaments, keep on coming to those, because that does support us. Next up we got J22. He's put, "Hey James, firstly surprised that you managed to keep last week's episode under an hour." That's not what we're used to. I know, I'm getting better. It's only taken me over 1.5 years. My question this week is, do you think that Gandalf the Grey on a cart and Radagast sleigh are effective models to use in the game, as both the cart and sleigh count as cavalry, or as they are both predominantly used to cast spell, are those additions a waste? Thanks for all the great content. No, they're not a waste. Definitely not. And I've seen both used effectively. I mean, what they do is that they enable your, especially the sleigh. The sleigh enables Radagast to become a combat wizard, where he's not before he's a support wizard. But you've got to be careful, because of course the base sizes are larger, and they are still relatively vulnerable. Fight 5 is fantastic, but it does make them really good troop killers, unless of course you're against the elves. You just got to be careful that you don't get surrounded by them. And remember, as long as you get priority, you're still getting to cast before you move. So with Radagast, you might be chucking out a renew and healing his own sleigh, or doing or healing another hero or something along those lines. With Gandalf, before you charge in, you might be immobilizing something or sorceress blasting something. So yeah. They are effective, and I have seen them used before, and very competitive. Thank you very much for that, J22. Next up we've got William Farquharson. He's put, "Nice to hear James talk about his plans for the future." Thank you very much, thanks for asking. So James, which armies do you think your kids will play, and at what age will you start them on the hobby? Well, clearly they're going to be my roamies. They're going to be like my #1 roamies. No, I don't think I'll force wargaming on them. I'll be very open with them and try and include them in it. Because of course it's nice to do things together, and I can imagine that I'll play lots of board games and things with my kids, because I like doing things like that, and it's a good productive way of spending time with each other. But yeah, I think they'll definitely be roamies. What do you think? And in terms of like starting them on the hobby, well, non-breaking models age, I think. But yeah, if they're into wargaming, great. If they're not, it doesn't really matter. I'm sure they will be legends regardless. So next up we've got Camille Demansky, speak, friend and question. He's got, "Hi guys, do you know what it is next weekend? It's Desolation of Stockport time. Hurrah!" It certainly is. Look forward to seeing you, mate. Question for today is, does War Marauder count towards bow limit as 1 or 2? It's 1 model but has 2 bows. I think it's 1, counts as 1, I think. The best place to get that answer isn't Speak for Any Question. Just go onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook group and pop it on there. Second question, does he benefit from Fury save as normal goblins? Yeah, I think as long as it says Goblin in his profile, I think it says Goblin. It doesn't say cavalry, so yeah, should do. From Goblin Fury. Third question, Goblin King can throw goblins. In the rulebook it says that this is a special shooting attack. Do you think this should count as a throwing weapon, not shooting? All the best, and as always, you'll never walk alone. Counts as a throwing weapon, not shooting, so you can move and shoot with it. I mean, yeah, I suppose so. But I guess the idea is that he stoops, he picks it up, and then he does it like that. So maybe not. Maybe not. Otherwise, that would be very. I think that would be very powerful. Actually, imagine that. So you move. You move, move half, pick up the goblin, and then throw it. So you can move to get into position to throw something. So, and if you've got priority, your opponent's not going to be able to avoid that. So bye-bye heroes on horses and felbies and stuff. Anyway, thank you very much. Oh, and final question. And should we have a little cheeky look and see how long has this taken? 46 minutes. Look at that. What a pro. Under an hour again. So Camille Damansky, one more question if I'm not too late. In Reconnoiter, when rolling for reinforcements, if you roll a 1, you got +1 to next roll. If you roll 1 again, then you've got +2 next, or is it always only +1? It's always only +1. So it's not like, I believe in Warhammer 40k, there were a few scenarios where like if you're rolling for reserves, it's +1 every turn. But I think in Reconnoiter, you've got to roll a 4+, and then in subsequent turns, it's always a 3+. It doesn't become a 2+ and then an auto come on. Unfortunately, I think it would be better if it did. So guys, that is Speak for Any Question. 30 questions this week, not as many as we've had in the past. We have upwards of 50. Is Desolation of Stockport 2015 is next week. If you haven't got your tickets, you can still get them. I know that it does say that you had to buy them 5th of April, and of course that's so that we can account for that. But yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody there. It does probably mean... Oh, no, we can still do Speak for Any Question next week. It's not a problem. So make sure if you want your questions answered, do try and get them in before Thursday. We will probably film it on Thursday when we're in a Northwest Gaming Centre setting. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit hobby. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Keep watching all of our videos. Make sure if you're watching this that you do like it. 450 views isn't 450 likes, is it? So you need to get on that, guys. Happy strategy battle gaming.